Death isn't so bad, he said, his mind already checked out of his life. He picked up a cord from one of the medical machines and unplugged it. I didn't know what it was. Overcome by his overwhelming words and feeling shaky, I needed some air and left the room. His name was Ronin. We became good friends in 7th grade. In 8th grade, he had a crush on one of my friends. Alex was the perfect girl for him, as they had similar interests and hobbies. So when she told me that she liked him back, I immediately told Ronin to ask her out because the school year was about to end. But he wanted to wait until the following year to ask her out because he wanted to spend time with her. When 9th grade came, Ronin finally asked Alex out to a football game. I was so happy for my friends to get together, but also a little worried about Ronin as he suffered from depression and already had several suicide attempts in his life. Once the game ended, I asked him something he never thought about before dating. Do you think you're ready to date even though your mental health is quite bad? He stared off into space for a long moment, then shrugged. I mean, nothing triggered it super badly this year yet, but possibly if we break up, then I guess it'll start up again. I couldn't shake off this worry that something bad would happen between them that would push Ronin over the edge, and I wasn't wrong. Once I got home from the game, Alex texted me, "Next time, drive me home because I don't want to deal with sitting in the back of a car with my boyfriend pleasuring himself in front of me." What? I responded. I just talked to him about his health and now he does this? In that moment, I regretted immediately that I encouraged them being together. I had no idea how right I was to worry and how bad it was going to get. 4 months later, I started seeing Ronin get more possessive and sexual over Alex. She told me he would ask for certain pics with her clothes off and force her to dress seductively so he could touch her. I could see in her eyes that she really needed help, so I decided to talk to him so this could all end in an orderly manner where everyone is satisfied. I met up with Ronin and told him everything Alex told me. He turned red and told me he has never dated before and doesn't know how to treat a girlfriend. I didn't know if this was a dumb excuse or the actual truth, but I chose to believe him and told him he needs to be a gentleman, polite and respectful. Apparently, none of that registered. 2 days later, I have Alex over to hang out. Something was clearly bothering her, so I decided to ask her. She immediately burst into tears and whispered, "I'm pregnant." I didn't know what to say after she said those 2 words. The air in the room felt thick and heavy with her grief. She told me his parents were going to host a party, but they were out late and needed help decorating the house before they came back home. So she went to his house after school to help out, and as she went inside, he led her to his room and forced her down on the bed. He stripped her clothes off, and while she was lying down, he slipped off the condom and mounted her. After he was done, he told her to go home and shower. When she was done telling me this, she pulled out a couple of pregnancy tests and showed them to me. They all came out positive. She told me that both his and her parents know about the baby, but refused her to get an abortion. All I could do to help comfort her was to hug and tell her everything was okay. I texted Ronin as soon as she went home. He wrote back saying it was none of my business. He wanted to make her his. 7 months after the incident, Ronin and Alex switched to a different school, so Alex wasn't the only girl pregnant at school, and Ronin wasn't bullied for forcing himself onto Alex. Apparently, everyone knew what he had done. Early one night, I was in my room drawing when I heard a flood of sirens ringing past my house. Nothing exciting ever happens around here, so I rushed down the street to see what was going on, only to find 3 police cars and an ambulance parked outside of Ronin's house. I collapsed to the ground. The air grew thick around me as I struggled to breathe. Then a couple of medics came out of the house with a stretcher. And on that stretcher was Ronin, weak but alive. I picked myself up, ran closer to his house, and saw his parents crying their eyes out. "Mrs. Benton, what happened?" She looked at me with teary eyes and told me, "Come to the hospital with us." When we got to the hospital, we had to wait 2 hours until the nurse finally came out. "Is he okay?" I blurted out. "He's not." The police found 2 bottles of kyolic medicine in his room spilled across the floor. It's meant for high blood pressure, and on the bottle, it's prescribed for Aaron Benton, his dad. I was in a state of shock. I felt so uneasy when she said that. She said his heart stopped when he overdosed on the medicine and that he almost died. I asked if I could see him. When I got to his room, several nurses were pinning him down and hooking him up to machines. Whenever I got a closer look at him, I saw everything. His eyes were bloodshot, his skin was pale, and he couldn't keep himself together. I want to die. Death isn't so bad, he said in a shaky voice. I put my hand on his face and told him he will be better soon. Ronin, you will soon have a kid to take care of. You can't just leave life like this. I need to. I can't be a father. I can't go on like this, he cried. If this is how my life is going to be, I don't want it anymore. Then he reached up and pulled on something. I know what hell feels like, so I'm getting out of this place. I ran out of the room, bursting into tears. I needed to be alone for a minute. I needed some air. And when I returned, several nurses were running into his room with machines yelling, "Code Blue! Code Blue!" From the door, through my tear-soaked eyes, I saw them desperately trying to bring him back to life. Nothing worked. Then they covered a blanket over his lifeless body. And suddenly, a bell rang in my mind. The machine he unplugged was his life support. Once again, the air grew thick around me. This time it felt different. It didn't stop weighing down on me, and I knew it wouldn't be lifted. Ronin was only 15 when he died. I can't help but think, what if Ronin could have been the father Alex wanted? He has a beautiful son right now that he can't see today. His soul lifted from the face of the planet before his son even came out into the world. But through this tragedy, I'm reminded that no one is alone. Someone cares, someone loves, and they will always find you when you need that little extra love and special care in your life. Ronin left a poem for his family to read on his birthday called "A Light and a Soul." The priest at his funeral read it, which brought everyone to tears. I dedicate this poem to whoever needs this extra love in their life.
The night has come on. The stars walk the skies. Now let the blanket of snow fall on a body of a man who never needed to be known for, lying on the bed of death, only to a family who cared for him. So cold in the night, so all alone, with the sounds and smell of misdirection and death to call his home. The sky is so wide as the sea, with nowhere to go, nothing to be. Oh, where have you gone, love of my life? Oh, where have you gone while I lie here with the poison of my body takes over the end of my life? Oh, what do you see that I, like a tiny fish, dies, its eyes so dim, my breath goes shallow, blood filling my lungs? Spare me from this life. Spare me from the ripping knife through my flesh. If it takes me, you must, for I cry so sweetly for you, and my heart slowly beats. Let a pelt of the snowy white bark of a wet tree cover me so thick, so white. Let my soul take me into the sky like my very last flight. Let me frolic with the other sad souls where there is no pain, no death, no taken blood. Let me climb the ladder of love into your heart and find my true place in life.